Hi guys, Gil of Camp Patton Family Compound here. We are on part 2 of planning for emergencies. You ready? Alright, I'll be with you back in a second. Hi guys, so we're going to start part 2 of planning for emergencies. If you haven't seen part 1, you can go ahead and back to the Camp Patton Family Compound channel homepage, and you can look at part 1 there. But quick recap: part 1, we talked about my experience as the Federal Emergency Management Coordinator, and all my experience since 1971 in planning for emergencies and response. We talked about the different types of emergencies. We talked about the need to have paper and pencil and write everything down, because you never know what you write down is something that's going to become very important. Also, it helps you remember it for when you enter it into the computer later on. And we talked about using Excel spreadsheets to help you sort out your needs from your wants. Now we're going to talk about budget. Okay, so you've prioritized your needs and your wants, and you take that list, and that'll determine the budget for your plan of action to get fully prepared. You also need to prioritize your time frame. How quickly do you need to get prepared? Next week? 6 months from now? Can you be totally prepared in 2 years and you just want to start working your way up to it till then? Which is the smarter way to do it, is to spread it out over time and work on it as much as possible. Remember, you also have to consider time frame versus sale. If you can wait for that sale you know is coming in 3 weeks, and you're going to save, 40%, that's 40% more that you can get. Also, you need to consider quality versus inexpensiveness. Sometimes things are inexpensive, don't last, and you wind up spending more money a bunch of times than if you had just gotten the one good, high-quality item to begin with. You need to set up a budget for the entire family. Income versus expenses. Excel spreadsheet is perfect for this. You list your net income after taxes, rent, utilities, whether water, electric, gas, sewer, internet, cable TV, whatever it is, list it. Food, how much you're putting into savings, luxury expenses. Okay, I need to go to the barber shop once a month. My wife needs to go to the beauty parlor once a month. We want to go out at least, once a week to dinner. We want to go to a movie once a week. Budget all those expenses in there. You may come to I am going to pick a particular topic, going to the movies. You may discover, like our family did, especially when we had, 3 teenagers. Wow, it's going to cost us $60 to go to the movie? Heck no. We're going to wait a couple months. We'll buy the DVD or Blu-ray when it comes out, and we'll watch it at home, and we'll have a steak dinner with it at the same time. Yeah, things, when you look at things like that, it changes your budget. You can really come up with a good budget, and you look at your expenses and think things out. In your budget, you need to have a column, monthly, bi-weekly, and weekly. 3 columns. How you get paid? Do you get paid weekly? Do you get paid every 2 weeks? Do you get paid monthly? Now, there are a few people where you might have to change the heading on one of these, where some people get paid on the 15th and the last day of the month. So you're not getting paid bi-weekly, you're getting paid semi-monthly. So semi-monthly, you'd have 24 paychecks. Bi-weekly, you'd have 26 paychecks. Weekly, you'd have 52 paychecks. You also need to put in on the spreadsheets. They have them all. Some of the formulas already in there, so you put in, mark what you get, when you get paid, how much you get paid, your gross, your net. You put all your expenses in there, and it tells you how much you have left over at the end of each pay period and at the end of each month. Very helpful, very good. Let's see here. I go back on that one page on the budget. Spend a little more time on budget here. All right. Your expenses, you will come to realize that a lot of your expenses, unless you've already been through some sort of class and you started whittling things down, are luxury frou-frou, as my wife would say. Now, my wife is an accountant. She worked for the IRS for a couple of years. She's currently working for a property management company. She's been there for about 10, 15 years. She's one of their senior accountants. She's also one of their fastest accountants. She took our budget when we got married. I had a little rinky-dink budget going on. She took it, reworked it, got down to the nitty-gritty. I had bought the house the year before we got married. Had a 30-year mortgage on it. And she figured out a way and got us refinanced into a 15-year loan that was only $58 a month higher than our 30-year monthly payment was. For that $58 a month more, we wound up paying off the house 15 years early, and actually earlier than that, because every now and then she'd kick extra money against the principal, which lowered the principal down. So we wound up, by the time, before my daughter had graduated, the house was paid for. All our vehicles are paid for. The only thing that's not paid for right now is our Idaho property, and she's been making payments and working on that. We have a 30-year loan on it as well. We're down to less than $80,000 left on it. Budgeting. When we got married, I used to go out to the movies to see every new movie that came out. I would take her out to dinner 2-3 nights a week. After we were married, she stopped that. She goes, for what we're paying to go to Hungry Hunter, I can cook you 4 nights worth of prime rib steaks for the same price. We stopped going out to dinner a lot. We would budget, instead of going out 3 or 4 times a week, or 2 or 3 times a week, to once or twice a month. We cut back on our frou-frou expenses. Cell phones. First cell phone I had was a Nokia, was it 3312 or whatever it was, one of those little simple bulletproof ones. I had that till we changed carriers and I had to get a new one. We would always go for the free phone that came with the renewing the plan. We weren't spending $500, $800 for an iPhone. We've never had one of those. Some of the people I work with, it seems every year they're getting a new phone, dropping a $600, $700, $800, $1,000 on a new phone every year. I've worked with some of these people from 2002 to 2018, 16 years, $800 a year. That's what, $12,000? $12,000 in our savings account is a lot more than $12,000 after that. Builds up to, a lot more. Budgeting is very important. Worked with a friend of mine. He and his wife used to go out drinking 4, 5 nights a week, partying all the time, smoking all the time, going through a lot of money. And I sat down with them. They wanted to go to get some emergency preparedness stuff done. Started going through stuff. I started worrying about the expenses and stuff. I go, well, let's do your budget. And we did an actual budget of what they were actually spending. And we pulled out the credit card bills, and when they saw how much they were spending, going out, partying, getting drunk, and not being able to remember what they did and having headaches the next morning, it was incredible. They did a cold turkey stop on that. And by the end of the year, he bought her a new car from the money they saved. The next year, she bought him a new pickup. Yeah. They were able to, afford new vehicles off of some of the frou-frou partying they were doing. Of course, then 2 years later, they decided, let's downsize these fancy vehicles into something a little more economical, a little more sense-worthy. And they got some smaller vehicles, not so nice fancy ones. Still, wound up lowering their monthly payments on the vehicles and increased their spending on their emergency preparations. By the time 5 years was up, they had 2 years of food. They had 4 years of clothing stored away. Because if you wear stuff out, the knees working in the garden, and they'd put it in a backyard garden. They'd really gone all out. They'd saved a lot of money. In 5 years, had all their preps for 2 years food, 4 years clothing. They had a water purification system, which was really neat. They had solar panels put on the house. All because they did a budget and realigned their priorities. Does this work for everybody? No. All right. Granted, my friend was an operating engineer making $65 an hour. Yeah, I forget what she was doing, but she was making something like $38 an hour at her job. Your budget is the keystone of your preps. If you can't afford your preps, you're not going to get them. If you're wasting money on frou-frou entertainment and luxuries, it's going to bite you in the behind when a disaster happens. All right? Didn't mean to get so down there, but hey, the budget is very serious. Money is a very serious topic with a lot of people. Okay, so we're going to cut this off here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, hit that little red button. It says subscribe on it. It'll turn gray. A little bell will pop next to it. Click that bell. That'll give you notifications whenever I load up a new video. Also, you want to be prepared, you want to be safe, share these videos with your family, friends, and coworkers. Get them prepared so they're not coming knocking on your door looking for your preps. All right? Take care, get prepared, be safe.